February 23rd, 24th. We got a huge slate of bets today. A lot of good college basketball, a great slate of NBA games, and even some Champions League for tomorrow and some tennis for the morning. So really, really big slate today. Let's start off on the ATP Tour. We're going to go with the Montpellier Open. We're going to go with Lorenzo Songo, plus 135 versus Sebastian Korda. Korda had a big win today versus Joe Wilfred Tsonga. That doesn't mean much anymore. Tsonga's not that great a player. He's ranked 60th in the world, maybe down to 63rd. So while looks like a big win and it's a big name that everybody knows, actually Lorenzo is the much higher ranked player. He's ranked 30th in the 30s in the world, and he's a very high seed in this tournament. Plus 135, I think, is really good value despite Korda's big win today. So I look for Lorenzo to move on here in the Montpellier Open, plus 135. Really good value. Next, we're going to go to Singapore, and we're going to ride the hot guy off the Aussie Open, Radu Albat, minus 115. Really like his value here, and think he'll be really good value today. So Radu Albat, minus 115 in the Singapore Open. And next, we're going to combine the Montpellier and Singapore Open in a three-team parlay that ends up paying plus 198. So we're going to go Soonwoo Kim, minus 3.5, minus 105 versus Tyson Kowalski. Soonwoo dominates these sort of Asian tournaments where he's playing low-level guys, and Tyson is a very low-level player. He's in the 200s. So look for Soonwoo to move on in the Singapore Open. And then we're going to go to Alexander Bublik, minus 450 versus Altu Sikla. We'll see if we can get this out. Silabekala. I doubt I got that right, but Alexander Bublik, minus 450, and Ugo Humbert, minus 400 versus Talian Gaspour. Really like Ugo and Alexander. They should move on pretty easy. High ranked in the tournament, playing 2 qualifiers. They should cruise, and that's why we have this parlay to here. We take essentially the Soonwoo Koon minus 3.5, minus 105, and essentially make it Soonwoo Koon minus 3.5, plus 198. So we like that value as long as the two easy winners that are ranked in the tournament cruise by in the qualifiers. All right, let's go to Champions League tomorrow. Really excited about the Champions League matchups tomorrow. As you can see with my t-shirt, we got at Atlanta playing Real Madrid, and we're really excited about Atlanta. Real Madrid getting a ton of respect. A lot of their players are hurt. Definitely like at Atlanta in this leg, and also like at Atlanta to advance plus 125. Even at full strength, both these teams, I think at Atlanta is just as good as Real Madrid. So really good value at plus 125. Plus you get this leg where they're playing, and Real Madrid is not healthy at all. So at Atlanta to advance plus 125. Then in the game overall tomorrow, we like at Atlanta to win over 2.5 combined goals plus 200, and at Atlanta to win both teams to score plus 260. We're going to really ride at Atlanta here. We think at Atlanta really should be able to dominate this game versus Real Madrid and their poor defensive line back there that's really beat up, and they don't have Karim Benzema either, really their best and only scoring option on the year. So you saw last week what at Atlanta did to Napoli without their real front line, back line guys. I look for the same trend to continue on Wednesday in the Champions League. And lastly, Man City versus Mönchengladbach. Man City to win nil plus 115. The matchup is so lopsided, and I can't talk myself into taking Gladbach in any way, but Man City's defense has been on point, and I really, really think they'll be able to win nil here. They threw up a nil versus Arsenal, and Gladbach probably around the same level as Arsenal, and Man City did that in cruise control. So to get Man City to win and to get the shutout plus 115 seems like pretty good value. All right, let's move on to the NBA. 4 NBA picks today. We're going to start out with the Cleveland Cavaliers plus 7.5 versus the Atlanta Hawks. Yes, Cleveland is on a 7-game losing streak. They've been on a downtrend ever since they, sort of been strumming. I think they'll bounce back today, though, and that 7.5 at home is really, really a lot of points. This Atlanta team isn't that much better than them. In fact, Cleveland and Atlanta played earlier in the year, and Cleveland got away with a win, so really, really like that. Next up, we're going with the Philadelphia 76ers -1.5 versus the Toronto Raptors. Really good value here. 76ers -1.5. Toronto, been on a really hot streak, but it's been versus very bad teams, mostly in the East and a couple out west. I don't think they're on the level with Philadelphia 76ers. Philly does tend to be worse on the road than they are at home, but this is not a real home game for Toronto. So really like Philadelphia -1.5 here, and I think they're just the better team in the better class and should be able to win this one. Next one, we're going to keep riding our Wizards. Been red hot, and as long as Westbrook and Beal play, I think this is the kind of game Westbrook will just love. He'll always give you that effort, and the +12.5 just seems ludicrous while the Wizards are on a roll here. And look for the Clippers to be a little lazy in this game. And Wizards +12.5, really like that. And lastly, we're going to go with the Sacramento Kings +6.5 versus the Brooklyn Nets. I would think should be a little bit higher, but not quite as many points as I want, but I do think the Kings match up pretty well versus the Brooklyn Nets when Kevin Durant isn't playing. I don't think Kevin Durant's going to play, so Sacramento Kings +6.5. All right, let's bring in our man Dynamite David, and let's do our college basketball picks. All right, we're bringing our man Dynamite David for our college basketball slate. Not many small teams today, so I had to roll with the big ones. Our man Dynamite David is here. Are you ready to give me some college basketball picks today?
Yes, sir. I'm always picking the big ones.
Yeah, I know.
You're on board with me on that.
You're going to be shocked at my list. I don't think there's one small school on it.
I think your winning percentage is a little better than mine, though, so maybe there's something to be said about the way you play. But I like the fun action.
Yeah, well, next year you can start following Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Southeast Louisiana. All right, buddy. What do you got for us today?
All right, I got 5 picks today, and I'm going to start out in the SEC. I'm going to give a shout-out to my boss, Mr. Bowers. This one's for him. I'm going to go with the LSU Tigers tonight, -5.5 at Georgia. I just think LSU's playing really well right now, and I don't see Georgia scoring enough to keep up with this Tigers offense.
Yeah. Guess what? I don't have LSU. I don't have Georgia, but I thought I'd have some fun today. I'm going with the over on 165.5 in this game. These two teams
LSU will do their part, but I worry about Georgia.
Well, I'm banking on that even if Georgia doesn't do their part, their defense is so porous that LSU might get to 120 points here. So I'm definitely banking on a game in the 80s here, so that hovers right around the number, and I think one of these teams for sure can get to the 90s. I'm not giving LSU's defense any credit either, so I definitely think Georgia will be able to at least score on them. Whether they can stop LSU, I'd be mighty surprised.
I know the Tigers have gotten into triple digits a few times, so it could happen.
Yeah, and I just thought it'd be fun to have a 165.5 over here, and I couldn't make myself quite take LSU on the road as much as I have despised Georgia all year long.
So my next couple picks are going to be a couple of teams I've been picking against lately, but I think they've been playing pretty good basketball. 2 Big Ten teams. We're going to start off with Connecticut -4.5 at Georgetown. I think Bouknight's been playing well, and UConn's been, they've been getting right there, but can't finish the games. I think this slow-paced, ugly Georgetown team's a good one to get a recovery win against, and I think they'll cover the 4.5 there.
Yeah, I finally got my take against Georgia over the weekend with UConn over the weekend with Villanova. So I'm no longer taking any UConn games after I finally got my win on that one. So I'm staying away until the tournament.
And then there's a struggling Big Ten team that I think they've given some good teams some scares, but haven't quite got to finish the games is Penn State. They're near the bottom of the Big Ten, but guess what? Nebraska's even further lower than them. And Penn State's going to cover that 6.5 at Nebraska.
Yeah, I have no thoughts on that game. That was that was auto pass on that one.
I think Penn State deserves a little bit more credit than where their record shows.
Yeah, definitely.
they've lost a lot of 2-3 point games. They've been in some games with Iowa and a few others. So I think they'll go in and they'll beat up on Nebraska tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, next to last year, not quite my last pick yet. Another Big Ten matchup. I've got Illinois -6.5 going into Michigan State. It's a high-powered offense. Illinois is looking to make that push, prove that they should be right there with Ohio State and Michigan, and they're going to go in and just destroy this slow-paced Michigan State basketball team tonight.
Yeah, so you aren't buying the Michigan State love after one win versus another.
They beat a 500 Indiana team.
Another very slow-paced and bad-scoring team in Indiana. So riding with the Illini tonight.
Yeah, Illinois. We talked about this earlier. I think they're right there below the top tier of teams, and the last week or so, they could make a jump in a 1 seed, but I think they've definitely got a 2 seed locked down, and they've got probably one of the best players in basketball on their team as well.
Yeah, I think we both thought they might even have a higher ceiling than LSU. I'm messing every team up today. Than Michigan or Ohio State, but they might also have a lower ceiling as well. They tend to lose a couple games they probably shouldn't, but definitely probably Illinois maybe have the highest ceiling of those Big Ten elite teams.
And for my last pick today, this is my only underdog I'm picking today. I'm taking Georgia Tech +2.5 at Virginia Tech. Georgia's been surging lately, and I was looking at Virginia Tech's lineup. They're missing 2 of their top 5 scorers. And they've been out for a couple of weeks due to COVID reasons. So, we've talked about this. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm going to roll with it being a bad thing in this game. And Georgia Tech's going to come in and take care of business against Virginia Tech, get a big win that could put them in the tournament.
Yeah, when I first saw this line, I went Georgia Tech. I wanted it, and then, I started to make the line. I started to look at, stats, and this just, I had to go opposite here and take Virginia Tech -2.5. This is one of those where you don't like being with the numbers, but you sort of got to ride the numbers on ones like these and sort of hold your nose. Georgia Tech's really, really bad on the road, and Virginia Tech has been the best home team in the ACC so far this year. So it's just one of those where that number's so low with Virginia Tech being at home, you're like, oh, God.
This may be a little knee-jerk reaction for me because I really wanted to pay Georgia Tech Saturday against Miami, and I didn't, and they ended up destroying them. So
yeah.
Hopefully I haven't missed the boat here, and I'm going to take Georgia Tech today, and they're going to lose. But I think they're going to go in and get a surprise to a lot of people.
No, I liked it. I saw it, and I wanted to beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, I think they're starting to turn over and play, and then I'm like, oh, God, they're so bad on the road, and Virginia Tech's so good at home. I'm like, you can't do that. So Virginia Tech for me -2.5, and then we talked about LSU versus Georgia over 165.5. We're going to break another one of my rules here, and we're going to take Florida +1.5 versus Auburn. So we're going with a very, very slight road underdog here.
I couldn't pull the trigger on either pick there. Just looking at it, you don't know what Auburn team's going to show up, and really you don't know what Florida team's going to show up here. So it was too many questions in the air on that one. I couldn't pick a side.
Yeah, the thing that made me lean here is I think Auburn's starting to pack it in. They've lost 5 of their last 6. Their only win is a 6-point win versus Vanderbilt here.
And they don't have a postseason.
To play for. And I don't think Florida is quite in yet, especially with that really bad South Carolina loss sitting there. So, to beat Auburn, to beat Kentucky, beat Missouri to close out the year or win 2 of those 3 games, I think that would probably put them in. But I don't think Florida's a guaranteed in the tournament right now. So this game would mean a lot more to them. So I'm just going to ride that and hope they can win that one. And next one we're going to take is Missouri, -3.5 versus Ole Miss. Missouri seems to have refound their legs this week, beaten South Carolina 93-78. Maybe they're back on track after that very, very disturbing Mississippi, Arkansas, Georgia stretch.
I decided a few weeks back I couldn't bet on Konzo Martin anymore.
And maybe Ole Miss, off of their little brief blip of win streak, Tennessee, Auburn, Missouri, South Carolina, maybe they're back on their downfall because they had a very poor game versus Mississippi State over the weekend. So
Sorry, didn't this Ole Miss team just beat Missouri by like 20 a few weeks ago?
That's correct. But Missouri did the same thing to Tennessee where they lost by 20 and then came back and won. This one's in Missouri, and I think the Ole Miss ride was fun for about a 5-week stretch. I think it hurt you a little bit in that 5-week stretch. And now I'm going to end that 5-week stretch and hope Mizzou has refound its legs, or they're just terrible and going to ruin my day again, because I think I got burned by their bad play over their 3-week stretch.
I think I had Mizzou picked the last time they played Ole Miss.
Yeah, so I'm going the other way here, and we're riding with Missouri minus 3.5 today. That's our college picks for the day. Be sure to follow us on greenlightnetwork.org, Greenlight Network on Facebook and YouTube. Where can we find you, Dynamite?
Follow me on Twitter at GLNDynamite_D.
I'm GLN Champ 5 on Twitter and Instagram. That's our show, and we're out.